Hello, thanks for stopping by. Today we're taking a look at the KingKong Tiny 7. Now this is one of two new releases from KingKong. Both are Whoop style builds. This one's 75mm across, and I also just recently reviewed the KingKong Tiny 6, which is 10mm smaller. So this is sort of the older brother of the two quads. This is actually the basic version, which just comes with one battery and the little USB charger there, no spare props or anything. I did the advanced version of the Tiny 6. I reviewed that a couple of days ago, so you can check that out if you want to see what comes with the advanced version. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at this, see what's in it, see how it flies, and let's give it a quick review. So in the box we get this tiny little USB charger, and you can see on the end here we've got two different types of balance plug. We've also got a switch on here that switches between 200 and 500 milliamp hours depending on which version you get. The Tiny 6 comes with a 200 milliamp hour battery, and the Tiny 7, which is this one, comes with a 500 milliamp hour battery. So this charger just sort of goes between the two, and you can switch it to whatever milliamp hour battery you want. So the bigger of these two connectors is actually for our 500 milliamp hour battery. So we can go ahead and plug that in and then plug this into a USB port, and it'll charge probably in about 30 to 40 minutes is what I've been getting recently. If you get the advanced version, you'll get a 5-way parallel charger of this, so you can plug in all 5 batteries at once and charge them up nice and fast. So advanced version, probably a little bit better for your money because you're going to be getting 5 batteries instead of just the one, and you'll be able to keep going out there and thrashing this about. So taking a look at the battery, we've got this peak power 500 milliamp hour battery. This is only one cell, it's 3.7 volts. I would have liked to have seen 2 cell on this, but due to the build we can't really get a 2 cell on this because it's just too much voltage for the components to handle. This is rated at 30C, and you can sort of notice there's a little bit lack of power when you're sort of doing flips and stuff, but I'll come to that later in the video. So taking a look at the quad itself, the best feature for me, looking at it straight out the box, is that it's got these extra supports between each of the ducted fan blades. You can see it's got this sort of doubly crossed T shape between each of these. That's basically just going to add a lot more structural integrity. If we crash, this isn't going to break, because a lot of cheap whoops that I've seen, the sort of ducted part around the propeller just snaps the second you crash into anything because it's just really too soft. But this is actually quite nice and rigid, and yeah, I think it's quite good. It's going to really protect the drone, and hopefully nothing will break. But saying that, it is really rigid, so it makes me worry a little bit about the sort of interconnecting bits that are holding the motor and propeller in place, because they're quite thin plastic, little bits of plastic, so I'm worried that they might actually snap because it's so rigid, but we'll check that out when we go on to flying it. So flipping it over, you'll see we've got the little power distribution board on the bottom here, and you'll notice we've got the USB port there, so we can actually plug it in, go ahead and connect this up to Betaflight or Clean Flight, and change all our PIDs, change our settings, all the modes and rates and stuff. So that's really nice to have a feature like that on a quad this small, the ability to change everything. But it's also quite standard, so it's just to be expected. So all the electronic components, apart from the camera and receiver, are actually built into this little purple power distribution board. We've got the ESCs built into there, we've got the video transmitter as well. It would have been nice to maybe get a onboard display, on-screen display, but nevertheless, we've still got quite a few things jam-packed into this tiny little package. You'll also notice the motors are simply plug and play. There's no awkward wiring of tiny little wires on here, and taking the quad apart, you can simply unplug a motor and plug a new one in if your one burns out. So I've actually got the FR Sky version with the tiny little AC800 receiver for my Taranis. You can get this with a couple of other ones, I think Futaba and DSM2, or of course get it without a receiver and just simply plug and play with your own one in there. So anyway, let's go ahead, take this out for a little flight test. It's raining at the moment, so I'll have to do it indoors, but see what the range is like, see what the camera quality is like, and see how long this thing lasts. Let's go test it out. So here's some footage from the quad, and it's pretty standard. You know, it's an 800 TVL camera, so it's nothing incredible, but it's better than some of the cheaper versions of these out there, and it's also 150-degree field of view, so it's quite nice to get that pretty wide angle on there. Now, this is pretty responsive. I sort of changed the default PID slightly and upped the rates a little bit, but it's quite good. There is sort of a little bit of a lack of power coming from that 1S battery. Sort of when you do flips, you can see that it just hovers and sort of goes down to the ground a little bit more, whereas if you had a higher rating battery, if you just whacked up the throttle a little bit, there'd be a bit more responsiveness in there, so you'd be able to sort of thrust up off the ground faster. So a little bit lack of power, but for whizzing around indoors or even outside on a sunny day within a couple of probably about 50 to 100 meters range, I'd say this has. I didn't get to do a full range test, but yeah, this is quite good and I do enjoy it. It's nice and fun to bash around. One problem I did have was what I did mention earlier, was that one of the front little propeller supports, if you will, actually snapped because I crashed, and I'll put a picture of that in now so you can see it. So this is a worry I do have. I guess you could probably hot glue these back on and it would be fine, but it's just a bit annoying. I've spoken to a couple of people at KingKong, and they said they have changed this slightly between the version I have and the version that's going to be released for the general public. So hopefully this should be a little bit sturdier on the one you can Flight get. Times are quite similar to that of the Tiny 6. It's about 4 or 5 minutes with this battery. I definitely suggest getting the advanced version of either of these drones because I think it's quite a good value for money. And I think it's only about $10 or so more, but don't quote me on that. But if it is $10 or so more, and you get 5 extra batteries, then I definitely think that is a worthy investment. Anyway, guys, thanks for sticking around. That was just a very quick overview. I might do a sort of comparison between the 6 and 7 and say which one I would prefer in the next couple of days if you guys would like that. Thanks for checking it out. Don't forget you can check me out on Patreon as well. I'm doing a giveaway on there now. You only have to subscribe for $1. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you next time, guys. Peace out.